So, hello. I will be ranking um, all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe projects from worst to best, and I'll be talking about it a little bit as well. In 47th place is What If. I hated everything about this show. To me, it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and in Star Wars, I'm okay with there being animated shows that make up the universe, but for the Marvel Cinematic Universe to include a cartoon, I couldn't get behind it. And also, when you're changing events from good movies and saying, "Oh, what if this happened?" I don't care. I want it to happen the way it happened. Don't change the good writing that you've done into storylines I don't care about. It felt completely pointless. 46th place is one of the Marvel one shots. This is item 47, and it is a complete waste of time. Like, it has nothing to do with anything. Never watch it. 45th is Groot Takes a Bath. We didn't need Groot Takes a Bath. I don't. It's stupid. 44th place is The Little Guy, which is equally stupid. Um, this one is just. I can't even talk about those. I can't believe they're canon. 43rd is a funny thing happened on the way to Thor's hammer, which is another one shot. With this one, just not a lot happens. I mean, there's a little action sequence. He throws something at a guy, jumps off a shelf, and kicks a gun away. It's just to show that Coulson's cool. I believe you. I believe that Coulson is cool. Hello? Should be at the bottom, but I think it's kind of. Okay, that's fair enough. Hello? Hello? All right. So beyond a funny thing happened on the way to Hammer, we have Groot's Pursuit. Uh, you know, this is cold hearted. This one, he shoves an alien out of a airlock. He spent too much time with the Guardians. Clearly, I was surprised how cutthroat they took it for a kid's short. My 6-year-old cousin watched it with me and laughed his head off. So I guess it's just kids have a maniacal sense of humor. But that one's not great either. 41st is Groot's First Steps. This one probably has the most story to one of the Groot episodes. It's the most important thing out of all of those stupid little shorts because it shows him going from plant pot form to walking. So it transitions from the post credits of the first movie to the where he's at in the second movie. So it has the most story value to it. Try to avoid spoilers because it went to the top. All right. Next is the consultant. This one basically it just all it does this one shot is it summarizes the Incredible Hulk. There's a couple funny lines here as Coulson exchanges dialogue between him and Agent Jasper Sitwell, but not enough in this happens that I care about because they're just summarizing the events of the Incredible Hulk and segueing the storylines towards the Avengers. So I didn't really care. It did give more backstory to the sudden appearance of Iron Man in the Incredible Hulk post credit, though. So at least there's that. It does make that make more sense. So at least there's that with that one. 39th is Magnum Opus, the best of the I Am Groot shorts, simply because Rocket shows up in it, and it's nice to see. 38th is She-Hulk. I don't even want to talk about this. I've explained it once. I've explained it again. For all of the Star Wars fans out there, the embrace of pain is a torture device used by the Yuuzhan Vong in the New Jedi Order book series. And I've said it 100 times. She-Hulk is like the embrace of pain for your eyeballs. It is terrible. It is abysmal. Not even Daredevil could save it. I loved Daredevil showing up. That was great. Daredevil was really good. I enjoyed everything with Daredevil. You know, Wong had some funny lines here and there. Other than that, the deconstruction of Abomination, I I don't want to talk about it that much more, but it's just abysmal. You know, and it's supposed to be funny, but I didn't laugh. Like I wish I could have liked it. I liked the idea of it, a show about being a lawyer and a superhero, but it wasn't even about a lawyer. There wasn't enough lawyeriness in this show. It felt like the lawyeriness was an afterthought, and it was setting up her to be a lawyer. And then Daredevil comes in and beats her instantly in like 2 sentences of an argument. If you want to see something good with lawyers and legal drama, A Few Good Men with Tom Cruise is stellar. This is not stellar. It's quite the opposite. And it's supposed to be funny, but I didn't find it funny. The action sequences I didn't enjoy. The characters I didn't enjoy, with the exception of Daredevil. The Daredevil episode was all that saved this from being below magnum opus. Um, I mean, I just didn't like it. I'm sorry. Next is the one shot with Agent Carter. This one was fine. It just showed us how Agent Carter is really cool, and it's a shame that we don't get to see her much more because she's stranded in the 40s, and the MCU moves to the present time. 36 is All Hail the King. This is a great one shot because it connects Iron Man 3 to Shang-Chi so seamlessly. It's a perfect setup. Trevor Slattery from Iron Man 3 is in prison doing an interview, but he doesn't realize the person interviewing him is a Ten Rings um, agent, and he kidnaps Trevor Slattery to where we see him in Shang-Chi. So this is great for story-wise. This is a brilliant contribution to the MCU. Let me check the comments here. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay. Yeah. People who defend She-Hulk need to have their head examined, I'm afraid. Okay, so I'm one of those people who this could get offensive to everyone. I don't consider Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. canon to the MCU. It contradicts WandaVision. So I've not seen it. I would like to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I've heard great things about it, but I don't consider it canon to the MCU personally. I'm one of those purist haters that they talk about who doesn't like to bring in the Hulu show and the Netflix show. So, see, for Star Wars, I'm an expanded universe fan, saying it was canon. But then on the MCU side, I think that the tone doesn't match as much, and so it dilutes the storylines that are going on. So they can be great, yes, but I think they should be their own separate thing, which people will not like me saying that. But that's just what I've thought about it. 35th is The Incredible Hulk. This is a way better movie than everyone realizes. This is a really exciting and fast-paced watch. Now, my cousin just started watching the MCU movies, and she's seen Captain America, the first Iron Man. She's seen some of the first ones, and she's seen Spider-Man: No Way Home and bits of Civil War. And when I prepared her that Incredible Hulk wasn't very good, she came out of watching it and told me that she didn't understand why no one liked it. She thought it was amazing, and she really pointed out how the tension in this one is really great. Yes, it's quite it's quite an action movie. It's action before comedy, which is unlike a lot of other MCU entries. It's kind of distinctive. It's got a darker tone. It's shot. The cinematography is shot to where the lighting is darker too, mostly. So the CGI looks okay. But you know, this is a really good film. I don't know why it gets hate, but it's just not as good as some of the other ones. I think it's a good film though. 34 is Thor: Love and Thunder. They took everything great about Ragnarok and pushed it too far in an unapologetic and arrogant manner, and this movie just crumbled apart, in my opinion. 33rd is Thor. This was my first MCU movie. My hair is long because I like Thor as a character. I always liked Thor. I thought he was a cool guy. I was like 6 years old wow, look at him, he's cool, you know. So I always like Thor. However, on rewatching it, people make memes about, craning your neck because of all the angles, but goodness gracious, you really are. It's disorienting. And I realized on rewatches that the writing isn't very strong. It's kind of like the Hallmark movie of the MCU, the way the dialogue's written. It's incredibly cheesy. It's still a good film. 32 is Iron Man 3. I thought Iron Man 3 was my favorite Iron Man movie, but on rewatching them, I realized that I didn't like it as much as as much as I thought I did. Um, the movie's good. I didn't like some of the plot elements in it, and I just realized that I don't think it's as strongly written as the others. And people say Iron Man 2 is jam packed, full of too many storylines. I think the storylines in Iron Man 2 were all strong. Every little storyline in Iron Man 2 was more interesting than the storyline to Iron Man 3, in my opinion. And then some of the stuff in the climax of the movie is just very anticlimactic to me, very cheesy, very spoofy towards the end. 31 for me is Loki. I didn't like Loki. Everyone liked Loki. Everyone praised Loki. Loki was not what I was hoping it would be. I was hoping it would be really good, and I came out of it disappointed. I really wanted to like it. Now, that's not to say I didn't like any of it, because the stuff with He Who Remains was fantastic. Um, the stuff with Loki and Mobius is golden, and I love it. Um, and I really wanted to like the stuff with Sylvie, but I just didn't. I really, really wanted to, but I was not compelled by that storyline. So I'm hopeful for season two. Season two will hopefully be better than season one. 30 for me is Captain Marvel. It's a good film. I really like the film. What I didn't enjoy about it was the way that it was styled, to where there were so many flashbacks, and then they revealed to us what the backstory was, so we knew what the backstory was, and then they fed it to the character bit by bit. So that felt like it was hindering the direction of the movie to me. Um, on rewatching, I was surprised how much I enjoyed Captain Marvel, because I didn't like it very much the first time, but the other times I watched it, I thought it was really good. The stuff with Talos is fantastic. The young Nick Fury is really great, as his eyes are being opened to a new world. The use of Coulson in this movie was done really well. Um, the dynamic between Captain Marvel and her friend is really good as well. 29 for me is Avengers Age of Ultron. I really like Wanda, and I really like Vision, and they're introduced in this, but it just, if the plot felt really weak and thin, and it feels like it had the least impact on the MCU for an Avengers film. I can't explain it exactly, but this movie was not hitting the nail on the head for me. It's just, I can't say precisely what it was, but it just felt incomplete to me. Yeah, there was some good stuff to Iron Man 3. I like the Extremis stuff. It could have been a lot better. Um, 28 is Eternals. People hate on this movie. It's not as bad as people say, but it's by no stretch of the imagination is it good. This is an incredibly boring film, and it's unfortunate because the directing is really well done. The costumes are really well done. The set design's really well done. The CG is magnificent. The CGI is magnificent. It's beautiful. It's done perfectly. The story, though, is not done well. The characters are not done well. The flashbacks made it feel really disorienting, the way that it cut between timeline, or between time periods. Um, there are good parts of this movie, but just not enough. 27 is Thor: The Dark World. You know, it's not as bad as people say. There's some really fun stuff here. The dynamic between Loki and Thor. I know, Loki dies again. People complain about how Loki does another fake out. The post credit scene, or the last scene of the movie, where it reveals Loki is playing Odin, is just fantastic. The anticipation that generates was great. The storyline of Jane with the Infinity Stone, I thought that was really well done. The portals between the worlds were well done. No, the villains aren't good; they're terrible. But the dynamic between Loki and Thor keeps me entertained enough to overlook some of the weaker aspects of this movie. I don't think it's as boring as people say. I don't think it's got per se such a great visual flair to it, but I don't get why everyone hates on Thor: The Dark World. I actually think it's quite good. 26 for me is Iron Man 2. I really like Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 is a very good movie. The scene where Iron Man and War Machine take on Whiplash at the end is just such. It's the best Iron Man action in the MCU, in my opinion. That's such a great scene to watch them fighting together. And then the scene where they fight each other is good too. And Don Cheadle absolutely nailed War Machine. Instantly he comes into it and he does better than Terrence Howard. If is that his name? I can't remember. Who played him in the first film? 25 is Captain America: The First Avenger. What a great film! This film is really well done. I love how it goes into the history of it. It makes perfect sense how Captain America became his name and his costume. They make a very silly concept seem realistic and doable. The actors nailed the time period. They did a great job acting from that era, and this is just a classic film, and I don't see how it could ever become disliked. It'll always be a great film. 24 for me is Black Panther. I loved the character in Civil War, and I was so excited for the movie. But when I actually watched the movie, and I'd heard great things about the movie, everybody loved the movie, everybody praised the movie. My uncle told me it was his favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. He told me it was one of the best movies he'd ever seen. So my anticipation is high. And going off of Black Panther's appearance in Civil War, the character's great. I was so excited. The film itself, I can't put my finger on it, but I was just not that impressed with the film. The third act with the rhinos was so stupid. The villain, a lot of people praise the villain. I thought the villain was good, but I thought his plan to go about his motivation was great. The character development there, but his plan to bring about his motivation, I thought was really weakly written, and I felt that the cast didn't have that much chemistry with each other, which was unfortunate. But there are great parts of this movie too. The whole time in Japan, that is brilliant. I love all of that. Um, the stuff with Black Panther, the beginning of the film where he ambushes that convoy, all of that is just brilliant. Really well done. I like the stuff with the spirit plane with him visiting his father. I love M'Baku. M'Baku's one of my favorites. M'Baku might be my favorite character from this movie. Claw was great. He was utilized so well. Andy Serkis did a great job with him. Martin Freeman, they used him really well too. And he did a good job as playing the outsider looking into Wakanda so that the audience could feel like we were experiencing Wakanda at the same time as him, with all the awe around all of the great things that they've accomplished. It's not my favorite, but it's by no means a bad movie. It is excellent. It just is overhyped to me and did not live up to my expectations. 23 for me is WandaVision. WandaVision is super solid, super unique, super distinctive, super enjoyable, kept you guessing, and some people said it didn't have rewatchability. I've watched it in full 3 times and loved it every time. It's just really well done, and as a person who loves old sitcoms, the references to like Bewitched and the Dick Van Dyke Show and Family Ties and all of that is super fun to see. I really like WandaVision, and Jimmy Woo was excellent in this. And it was so fun to see Darcy again. 22 for me is Iron Man. What a great film. It started it all, and it still holds up as it's such an excellent film. When he first comes out of the cave in that suit, that is just the moment that made me fall in love with the MCU. It's so, 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 so well done. The charisma of Robert Downey Jr. is just incredible. I can not see anybody but him playing the role. what a gamble Marvel took, and man, did it pay off. This is a fantastic movie. 21 for me is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. It's a thriller. It's kind of in the style of Jason Bourne, and it's excellent. It's a really fantastic movie. I love The Winter Soldier. I'd never heard anyone say anything negative about it until just the other day. It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, that was really cool. In Infinity War, that was great too. I suppose. I don't suppose it was great. 20 for me is Miss Marvel. I went into Miss Marvel expecting to hate it. Why do we have a show about a teenage girl experiencing teenage girl problems? This is not for me. I was very upset. I was very angry. I went in almost wanting to hate it, and I came out really enjoying it by the end of it. The family dynamic in this is so believable and so realistic and so well done. Bruno is really great, and his friendship with Kamala is really well done. Um, there's some cheesy stuff in here. Mainly the third to fourth episode, I found myself becoming disinterested. Um, with some of the partition stuff and the red dagger. And he had some cheesy lines. The villains were terrible, terrible villains. But man, for her first role, Iman Vellani had such a natural feel to it and a bubbly energy, and she had charisma too. She did a really good job with the role, and I totally believed that she was with her actual mother and father and brother and best friends. Um, the finale, the Home Alone aspect of the finale was silly. And there's silly parts to this, but keep in mind who this is intended for, and which is younger audiences. I really enjoyed this show, and I can't wait to see Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel too. In fact, with how much I enjoyed Miss Marvel as a character, that's the only thing that's keeping me really interested in the Marvels, which is the Captain Marvel sequel. I'm really excited to see what happens with her character because Miss Marvel was just beyond my expectation. To go into it expecting to hate it, almost wanting to hate it, and to have such an enjoyable and um, surprisingly just really fun experience with this show, just as a testament to what a good job the actors did, because the family dynamics are excellent. 19 for me is The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Everyone criticizes this one. Everyone hates this one. Sure, some of the writing's really bad, but the action sequences and the chemistry between Winter Soldier and Falcon kept me engaged the entire time. And Zemo was in it. It is great. U.S. Agent to me is one of the most interesting characters the MCU has introduced in Phase 4. I cannot wait to see where he goes in the Thunderbolts. That whole storyline was great. And the scene where Captain America's shield is used for evil the first time and stained with blood is just such a poignant moment. There's so many good moments in this show. Should it have been a movie? Yes. That's what I'm hoping Captain America 4 is. Very similar to this. 18 for me is Black Widow. There's many good things about Black Widow. In fact, Black Widow was my first Marvel in theater experience. It's the first one I got to see in theaters. There's a lot of good things about this movie. Yelena Belova is now one of my favorite characters. She is so good in this. Red Guardian was really funny, really enjoyable. David Harbour did a good job. Iron Maiden was okay as well. She wasn't as good as some of the others. The villains are terrible. The villains are awful. Black Widow herself, I feel like she got overshadowed by Yelena in her own movie because Yelena stole the show in the Black Widow movie. The plot, I thought they did a good job. It's hard to write a prequel and put it back to a previously written stuff, and they did a really good job, and they kept me interested in this movie. It was really a love letter to Black Widow fans after Black Widow's fate in Endgame. So I enjoyed this one. It gets a lot of hate because the villains were terrible, but I think the writing and the dynamics between the family members in this one are done well. 17 for me is Spider-Man: Homecoming. This is a great film. It is the weakest of Tom Holland's Spider-Man films. There's a lot of great stuff in it. The twist that Vulture is the father of his love interest. That's great. Um, was not expecting that. Lots of other stuff were really good in this one. Peter and Ned, their relationship's good. Peter and Iron Man's relationship, that's all done well. Um, there's a lot of good stuff about this one, but it's simply not as good as some of the other Spider-Man films. 16 for me is Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is a fantastic movie. The visuals are great. The world building is great. The acting is great. I love Benedict Cumberbatch. He is one of my favorite actors out there. His work on the Sherlock show is just incredible. So Marvel did a really smart thing by grabbing him to play Doctor Strange, and he absolutely nails the role. Supporting characters are great. Wong is fantastic. Mordo is really good. I even like the Ancient One. There's a lot to like about this one. The villains are weak, yes, but the final battle between Strange and Dormammu is done really well. I thought that was a really excellent explanation for how he could use his wit to get out of that situation. For 15 for me is Hawkeye. I really liked Hawkeye. A lot of people hate Hawkeye. I thought Hawkeye was done really well. I really enjoyed Kate Bishop. I thought she was excellent. And she got more screen time than Hawkeye in his own show. Fair enough if I like the character. With Sylvie, I wasn't interested in the character, but with Kate Bishop, I was interested in the character. Jack was very interesting. Yelena showing up, that was great. Unfortunately, I wasn't that interested in Echo or Kingpin or just kind of the villains there. But it was a great show. It spent too much time with LARPers. But other than that, there were a lot of good moments in this show. And setting it during the festive holiday season makes it something I want to binge watch in the lead up to Christmas. It was really festive and really fun, really vibrant. And Haley Steinfeld did a great job with Kate Bishop. 14 for me is the OG Avengers movie. Um, you know, yeah, the writing there was pretty bad. You know, yeah, some of that just felt really weird. Just really, I don't know, just bad writing. It was just bad writing, I think. Bad writing. Um, the OG Avengers movie. What do you want me to say about this? It's fantastic. Everything about it is great. 13 for me is the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. The humor is great. The soundtrack is great, although the second movie has a much better soundtrack. The Guardians bringing this ragtag team together is brilliant. The acting is great. The villain, he might be a bit generic, but I totally enjoyed the villain is Ronan in this one. Ronan the Accuser. Thanos being in this was cool. I love Drax. I love Rocket. I love Quill. I love Groot. I love Gamora. I love them all. They're all great. They work together so well, or not well, but that's in and of itself what makes watching them work together so enjoyable. 12 for me is Spider-Man Far From Home. I enjoyed Spider-Man Far From Home a lot. Taking him away from New York for the first time was really cool. This summer trip idea that's getting hijacked. Mysterio's plot in this one with drones. I thought that was a great interpretation of the character. This is really fantastic. I enjoyed a lot of stuff about this movie. The reveal that Nick Fury's a Skrull at the end had me scratching my head a little, but it was cool. There's a lot of good things about this movie. I'm trying to think of them now, because I had some in my mind. The stuff with MJ and Spider-Man in this one is nice. The stuff with Ned is good as always. Flash was utilized well in this one. Happy coming into it so much made me happy. Spider-Man having to use his spider sense to defeat Mysterio was great. They really used Mysterio really well. And the writing was really good for his whole plot. Or his whole evil plan. That's what I was trying to say. His evil plan was written very well. 11 for me is Ant-Man. Ant-Man's a fantastic movie. From the beginning of the movie, it is such a good movie. Yes, some of the writing for it doesn't make sense. The whole ant heist thing is kind of weird. But it's a fantastic movie, and Paul Rudd's powerful role He just has such a funny charm and humorous nature to him that he's so captivating. 10 for me is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Shang-Chi is a really great movie. It's a beautiful movie. The story between Shang-Chi and his dad was great. Um, I was expecting, based on the trailers, to hate Katie as a character, but I enjoyed Katie as a character. The use of Trevor Slattery in this is done really well. There's lots of humorous moments. The action in this is some of the best action we've gotten in the MCU. 9 for me is Moon Knight. Moon Knight was excellent, mainly because of Oscar Isaac. Oscar Isaac's star power absolutely carried this show. I was interested from the first episode to the sixth. With all the twists and turns and strange occurrences, Oscar Isaac absolutely nailed the role. Steven is one of my favorite characters. Mark was interesting. I can't wait to see where it goes with Jake Lockley. Khonshu, Khonshu was interesting. I like the different suits for Moon Knight and Mr. Knight. Ethan Hawke as Arthur Harrow, I just believed it. It was done so well. The idea of this cult leader obsessed with the Egyptian deities. The exploration of mental illness, while though technically inaccurate because dissociative identity disorder can only be triggered between for trauma between the age of birth and 6 years old. So the child depicting the abuse that Stephen had that prompted the DID. He was much too old. So while it did get some things inaccurate, it was a great presentation of just kind of the world that the people with DID have to experience. And although obviously none of the people who have DID experience violent tendencies, all of that is just fiction. Hollywood trying to entertain us. It did create this feeling of disorientation and coping and a study of the human psyche, which was all very interesting. And obviously, none of the Egyptian stuff in it is experienced, but it does give some insights, even if not completely inaccurate. And that kept me absolutely captivated. The action, when we got to see it, is done really well. I actually think that it was a great thing that we didn't see all of the action sequences. It really builds to the mystery. If he's in Captain America: New World Order, the fourth Cap film, like they say, according to some leaks, then I would be excited, and we'll see lots more Moon Knight action there, hopefully. Not 8 for me is Ant-Man and the Wasp. Someone once told me that Ant-Man and the Wasp is filler. Ant-Man and the Wasp is such a fun time where you can ignore the heartbreak of Infinity War and relax and laugh. It's a lot of fun, this one. It's a lot of fun. I absolutely love this movie. It's definitely my favorite Ant-Man movie. There's so many fun, funny moments in this one. And the Ant-Man power of shrinking and getting bigger is done really well in this film. And they made me really appreciate the Wasp as a character, because in the first Ant-Man film, I thought the Wasp was kind of there. She didn't do much. This film, she's really cool. 7 for me is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is the best Guardians of the Galaxy of the movie, Guardians of the Galaxy movie to date. I just loved everything about this one. Kurt Russell nailed it as Ego, bringing in a veteran Hollywood actor, and he just did such a good job with his acting in this one. Yondu was used really well in this one. The setup of Adam Warlock is a payoff that I am still super excited to see. Rocket, his characterization is great in this one. Drax, as always, is funny. The Peter Quill stuff in this one is really, really well done. While I didn't love Baby Groot, sorry, he's there. He's there. Other than that nitpick complaint there, everything about this movie is so much fun. It's a blast from beginning to end. 6 for me is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Everyone hates it. Oh, it's the Multiverse of Madness. This, that. No, the story doesn't make a lot of sense if you really think about the writing for it. But I was thoroughly entertained from beginning to end. Was it a little fan servicey? Sure, but I loved all of the cameos. Patrick Stewart, come on. Patrick Stewart's brilliant. I love him as Picard. I love him as Professor X, and to see him for perhaps the last time as Professor X was great to see. Black Bolt was amazing. Doctor Strange, as always, Benedict Cumberbatch has such a charisma. He is so strategic in the way he plays Strange, so surgical, so precise, so cool, so crisp. He really, really, really suits the role. Wanda, Elizabeth Olsen, killed it as Wanda. Um, I didn't love America Chavez. I didn't love the love interest of Doctor Strange in this one. Um, I thought she wasn't used very well in the writing for this one. Mordo was cool. Captain Carter, that was great. There's a lot of good things about Mr. Fantastic. There's lots of good things about this movie. It was a thoroughly enjoyable ride from the start to the end, filled with great visual action sequences. Like the first action sequence where they fight Gargantos. Brilliant. I loved it. 5 for me is Avengers Endgame. Avengers Endgame is brilliant. It's a masterpiece. It's the culmination of 10 years of cinema. I love Avengers Endgame. There's nothing I do not like about Avengers Endgame, except the way Captain Marvel treats the OG Avengers. Have some respect. 4 for me is Avengers Infinity War. If the villain never wins, what are the stakes? That is why Infinity War is a fundamentally better movie than Endgame. The writing is great. The way they balance all the characters together is great. Everything about Avengers Infinity War was fantastic. The two separate teams fighting on two different fronts, and both of them lose. All of it was great. They utilized all of the characters well. They managed to have this a jam-packed film that still didn't lose sight of humor, heart, and action. This is fantastic. And Thanos is just the ultimate villain of cinema. 3 for me is Captain America Civil War. Captain America Civil War is a movie where the stakes felt real. There were true ramifications for this movie that were felt in the MCU for a long time. That is what made this an incredible movie. No, there's not some big bad villain. There's not some world-ending threat. There's just one man and one man who don't see eye to eye, and the Avengers could crumble because of that. And it's orchestrated in a great way. The characters in this were fantastic. My mind blew when I saw 12 superheroes going at each other. The airport scene is one of the greatest fight sequences in the MCU. I cannot stress how much I love Captain America Civil War. And I've loved it all 7 or 8 viewings. Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok is an incredible movie. The humor was balanced really well in this one. It gets me laughing every time. I've seen it over and over again, and the jokes don't get old for me. Hela was a great villain. Loki was done so perfectly in this one. Thor himself, this was deconstruction of a character done right. Thor Love and Thunder was deconstruction of a character done wrong. Valkyrie was a really cool character in this. Hulk was used great. Was used perfectly in this. Everything with Hulk and Bruce Banner was great. The Grand Master was brilliant. Heimdall didn't have a lot to do, and the Warriors 3 were just abused. But there's a lot of great stuff to Thor Ragnarok, and I really love Thor Ragnarok. It makes me laugh every time. 1 is Spider-Man No Way Home. I have just 3 words. 3 Spider-Men. Andrew Garfield, my favorite Spider-Man, brought tears to my eyes to see him again. I saw this movie 4 times in theaters. Is there stuff wrong with this movie? Sure, but Doctor Strange is great in this. Spider-Man is great in this. The villains are great in this. Green Goblin, they took Willem Dafoe back, and they made him just as scary as ever. They took a character who was scary 20 years ago, and now he's not as scary as he was in the 2000s, and they made him scary for a current new audience. The way that they made callbacks to those first 5 Spider-Man films was chef's kiss. MJ was a really great character in this one. Zendaya did a great job with the acting for it. Spider-Man, as always, was Tom Holland did a good job with the character, but Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were brilliant in this one. Andrew Garfield being my favorite Spider-Man, how could I not like this movie? Seeing all of them, do the meme, comment on each other's quirks. I could have just sat there the whole movie if it had been 3 hours of just them talking to each other. The writing in this movie is done super well. No, it doesn't make a lot of sense how the Spider-Man gets sucked in with a spell gone wrong, but I'm willing to overlook it because everything about this is so good. It is not only my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, but my favorite Marvel movie that there is. Um, Darth Vader. Darth Vader's cool. Darth Vader's cool. Yes, he is. He's not even the best villain in Star Wars. I mean, these are all my Star Wars books, back there. And there's a lot of better Star Wars villains back there than Darth Vader. Darth Krayt is great. Darth Nihilus, the Yuzon Vong. Um, let's see. Zizzer. Not a lot of them are coming to me right now. Darth Kaitis. There's lots of great villains in Star Wars, better than Darth Vader, in my opinion, but Darth Vader is a great villain. Cinematic history. I'd say it's Thanos 1, Darth Vader 2. That's the way I'd have to go on it. Um, but yeah, that's my list of all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies ranked from worst to best. And not only were the movies there, but the shows and the one shots as well. However, I forgot to mention Werewolf by Night because I made this list when Werewolf by Night hadn't been released. Where would Werewolf by Night slide in? Werewolf by Night would go around 10 to 15. I loved Werewolf by Night. It was short, but it was short and sweet. It was great. I love Werewolf by Night. Thank you to the people who stuck around and watched this live. Um, Tell me what your ranking is of all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm curious to hear your opinions. Did you disagree with my opinions? Did you agree with my opinions? That's what makes the world so interesting. Everyone has a different opinion. Someone might say, why was the Incredible Hulk so low? I have it higher. Someone might say Eternals is my favorite. Someone might say, No Way Home's overrated. Fair enough. Those are your opinions. I just wanted to share my ranking, which I've meticulously thought about after 3 full watchings of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and viewings of Thor Ragnarok like 12 times, and others multiple times. And, I'm very happy with my list. That's the way it is for now. Could it change over time? Sure. But most of them are locked in at spots that I'm very happy with. I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yes, there's lots of faults in it. But, I enjoy the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You have some hot takes too. Yeah, I think everyone does. Lots of people hate on Thor Ragnarok, and I have it as my second favorite. Um, I like Marvel a lot. I was the little kid who looked at all the other little kids with superhero toys and said, "That is dumb. Crime fighting superheroes, I will never be interested." Literally. I didn't watch anything superhero on purpose. I didn't read anything superhero. I didn't have any superhero toys. I hated the idea of it. I thought it was stupid. I was a sci-fi guy. Then at age 12, 4 years ago, after the Infinity War hype, I was like, maybe I'll have to see about this. But I wanted to watch it in chronological order. So I ended up seeing Thor first, but then I sat down and watched them in release date order. Then I've watched it in chronological order, and I can say I thoroughly love all of it. It's really enjoyable. But that was my ranking of them from worst to best. But what's you guys' ranking of the MCU movies? Let me know. So thanks to the people who stuck around in the comics, or in the comics. I'm tired. In the comments. Appreciate you guys. And I will see you all around.